Haunting and unforgettable, this ordinary thing tells the story of non-Jews who helped save Jewish people across Europe during the Holocaust. The film combines never-before-seen archival footage with testimonies from over 40 different people who, operating independently and at great risk to themselves and their families, saved thousands of Jewish strangers from almost certain death. This is a great example of how humanity reaches out to humanity, everyday people helping those who are different from them. Terrific film called This Ordinary Thing. We're joined today by the director, Nick Davis. Nick, welcome to Cinemaphile.
Thank you, Mike. It's great to be here.
A couple of things I mentioned in the introduction. There is some illuminating archival footage and also enlisting a wonderful array of people to tell this story. Tell me a little bit about the genesis and the idea behind This Ordinary Thing.
Well, the idea came to me from an executive producer, the executive producer of the film, Al Tapper, who I had worked with before, and we enjoyed working together. We were trying to come up with an idea, and we came across this coincidence that we both knew about these righteous people, and I had just done a short film about somebody who had been involved with an organization, and he said, "That's it, let's do it." I was resistant at first because I thought, oh, do we need another Holocaust film? I'm just not sure. But the more I looked into these stories, I was just blown away by the goodness and the way that these people did not see the differences between us. You know, in one case, one of the characters voiced by David Hyde Pierce says, it didn't matter whether they were Catholic or Jewish or Eskimos. They were persecuted people and you had to help them. And that spirit across all of these people is what I just felt like, well, gosh, I don't know what I can do to help the world, but I can tell these stories and put these stories out into the world and maybe it'll do some good.
Yeah, and just to further make that point, by the way, we'll get into the people who were part of the project who helped narrate or to tell these stories. And that is by the time that most of the people who were helping, if not all, I don't know if all of them did, but most of them certainly knew about the brutality and were aware of whether or not they were aware of the death camps or not, they were aware of the violence that was being visited upon the Jewish people. There couldn't have been any mistaking that they were putting their lives at risk by
Right.
doing this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which makes us all again, makes an extraordinary story. Watching the film, couldn't help but ask myself, what would I have done? And
Yeah,
I think that's really the point of this film. To me,
yeah,
the point is,
yeah,
what would I do? What
yeah,
could I do? And
yeah.
what if the circumstances occurred today, which are not as extraordinary as they may have seemed 10 or 15 or 20 years ago? Well, what will I do if I'm
Yeah.
presented with this?
Yes, yes. I think all of those questions definitely were in our minds as we were making the film. And none of us know until we're tested. I mean, you can say what you would do, but until there's a knock on the door, you don't really know. But I'm hoping that these stories do make you think, all right, well, what would I do and what should I do? Like, is there something I could be doing now, even before somebody knocks on my door? And I think that that is also, an animating spirit, behind this film is like presented with these stories. I mean, the whole point of the title and all of them is that they're just people. Like they're not heroes. They certainly didn't see themselves as heroes, and they're not, people on Mount Rushmore or posing for coins. They're just ordinary people who knock on the door. Hey, will you hide my suitcase? Oh, Lily Tomlin says, he was a friend, and to our amazement, he was a Jew. That to me was a really key moment where you sort of realize, like, yeah, they didn't see difference. They didn't see the differences. It was like he was a friend. So, of course, we're going to hide the suitcase. And, that's where it begins. And then it escalates like, oh, well, another one. Well, will you hide our baby? Well, I'll have to talk to my husband. Well, hey, you're hiding the boy. Will you hide the girl? Well, they'll kill us for one, they'll kill us for two. And then another one, and the next thing you know, we have 37 people in the attic. And it's like this sort of progression of if you go down this road, like what you end up doing, it is amazing and inspiring.
So it really truly is. And you're mentioning some of the people who have helped on this project: Helen Mirren, F. Murray Abrams, Jeremy Irons, Ellen Burstyn. So many, it's a lot. How many so-called celebrities? Uh,
I think there's a cast of 30 or 32.
30.
I know it's even because it worked out in the credits. But yeah, it was extraordinary. I mean, it was such a gift.
Did you approach them? I mean, your
Yeah,
producer,
yeah,
how
yeah,
did that
yeah.
work?
So, I mean, originally when I was figuring out the film, I thought, okay, we'll do voiceovers. And I asked my friends, I just said, hey, can you record these three voices and you record these two voices? And, people I'd done college theater with or whoever. And so I was working with those voices, sort of creating the shape of the film before a long, long time. And my wife and creative partner said, when are you going to get real actors? And so I was like, oh, all right. So we put the word out, and for the longest time, nothing happened. And by then, I'd hired a real editor, and we were actually putting the film together. And then one day, out of the blue, I get a call. Dame Helen Mirren wants to be in your film, and it was like, what? It was just wonderful. And within a couple of weeks, once she signed on, then F. Murray signed on, and then Jeremy Irons signs on, and the snowball rolls downhill. And they're obviously not doing it for the money. And I think why they did it and why these stories really resonated with actors in particular is this is a theory of mine, is that actors are trained in the art of empathy. So putting themselves in someone else's shoes, realizing that we're all the same, only by virtue of accident of birth is, creating the difference between, a person over here and a person in Africa. And so I think that mindset and being trained to think about the world that way made them more naturally sympathetic to these stories and made them all respond to the material.
Well, and one other factor, I mean, often they play people who existed in real life,
Yeah.
but also very often they don't. They play people who are sort of the product of an imagination of a writer. But in this case, these are concrete stories. These are people who actually lived through this. And so to bring out the empathy in these people who weren't given their due, they're extraordinary stories. And I'm so, again, at the beginning of our conversation, well, another Holocaust story, another Holocaust movie. No, we should never be tired of hearing about this. I don't think there should be fatigue in understanding how it happened, why it happened, and who it happened to.
Yeah.
And so getting these people, and they're all, I mean, I love Lily Tomlin so much, I can't tell you. And just to hear her voice, I haven't
Yeah.
seen her in a little while. So to hear her
Yeah.
voice again was
Yeah.
encouraging
Yeah.
and wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah. No, me too. I mean, I have admired these people's work for so long, and in some cases, all of a sudden I'm zooming with Jeremy Irons, and it's just, it's fantastic. And I'm working with him and sort of trying to, gently guide his performance. But honestly, it was just such a thrill and privilege to be able to watch him work and say, all right, do it again, try something else. Like it was just like it was wonderful, really great.
Well, quickly before, because I just want to make sure people understand that the film is going to be out on June 12th, VOD on 12, Apple, iTunes, Amazon, all the major platforms. Also timed to the anniversary of Anne Frank's birth, which, by the way, an extraordinary document, her life and her work. And I put quotes around work. This is what she was living through.
Yeah.
Um, is extraordinary. Again, also nominated for a Cinema Peace Dove Award for this year at the Cinema for Peace Awards in Berlin. I don't know if that happened or
Yeah,
not.
that happened. It was another, crazy event. I mean, I don't know how they even saw the film, much less to nominate it for this prestigious award, and they flew us over. The thing about Anne Frank that's so interesting and such a funny coincidence that the film is dropping on that day, she was an ordinary person.
Yeah,
And what's so amazing is that her diary survived, and we've all come to sort of see the Holocaust from that point of view. So in a way it feels fitting that like here are all these ordinary people and we're telling their stories and we're seeing the Holocaust from that point of view.
yeah,
And people often talk about the negative and somebody says in the film, Hitler, Himmler, we've heard enough about them. Let's hear about the good people who did try to stop it. And on the one hand, you have the banality of evil of the
yes.
Nazis. And on the other hand, you have this ordinary thing. To them, this is, from the film, somebody says like, yeah, they're being honored at Yad Vashem. They're planting a tree with all the, on the Avenue of Righteous with all the people who helped. And, the guy says to the director of Yad Vashem, I didn't really do anything. I mean, it's nice. Thank you for planting a tree, but I don't really deserve it. And the director of Yad Vashem says, yeah, all of you say the same thing. But if that's true, why didn't everybody do this ordinary thing? So,
Beautifully said. Well, Nick Davis, thank you. Thank you so much for this ordinary thing documentary and with all these amazing people that were a part of your journey in this. And again, this ordinary thing comes out on June 12th on Apple, iTunes, Amazon, all the major platforms. And once again, we cannot be inured, we cannot be dead to the idea that we need to hear these stories. We have to. And if, there are things like this, not on the scale, but certainly happening as we speak today, and how many ordinary people are jumping into that abyss to try and help, we can only hope there are more and more of them. So thank you very, very much, Nick, for your
thank
work.
you,
And
Mike.
yeah,
Thank you. Such a pleasure talking to you.